In the next few minutes, we're going to build a simple trading system from a very simple observation. And that observation is the S&P has an upward bias. I'm sure you've heard of that, you've probably seen it and understand it, that over the long haul, the S&P has an upward bias. I'm going to use Build Alpha to build a simple trading system from this concept. Stick around because this is going to generate a compounded annual growth rate of 22%. Let's go. Hey, check out this equity curve. Not too bad, right? The green is the in sample, blue is the out of sample. But what makes this interesting is this really isn't a trading system. This is a market study. This is going long on every day of the S&P market. What I did was I created a simple strategy to open at the market open at 8:30 Central Time for the ES market and then close that at the regular session hours and go flat. So essentially opening the trade on every day and closing it at the end of the day. Now, why did I do that? I wanted to see how many points are gained on the S&P during the day. I know that the S&P has an upward bias, and we can clearly see that over this time frame. I went and did this from 2020 all the way through 2025. You can see it's generating about 1,500 trades. So what does this tell us? That tells us that actually going long every day and closing out a trade produces, according to this, $138,000 in profit. So you can see the S&P does move throughout the day. That's an average trade of $92. Keep in mind, however, this does not include slippage and commissions, which would eat into that. But here again, I'm trying to prove a concept that there is an upward bias, and perhaps we could build a trading system from this. All right, let me show you a chart to show you really what's going on here. Let's really zoom in on these trades. So you can see that on this candle here, as the candle opens, we are buying, and then as the candle closes, we are selling. Likewise here, here, and here. We just do that for every day of the year. And you can see if we did that since 2020, the profit generated is $139,000. Again, slippage and commissions are not included in this study. So if we bring up the equity curve, what we've demonstrated here is that there is an upward bias. Could this be the start of a trading system? I think so. So how would I go about trying to turn this into a real trading system? You can see that our entry rule is very simple. We don't have one. If it's, what this is saying is if it's every day but Saturday, go ahead and open that trade. And the way we have Build Alpha configured here is that we're going to have a hold time of 1 bar. So it's that simple. Enter on every day, get out on that last tick of the day. I'm using Build Alpha for my testing, and what I can do is go over here and select all the different indicators that are available. So you can see I selected 3,975 different indicators. Let's try to turn this into a system that's tradable. So what we told it to do is go ahead and search all of these different indicators. I am also going to come in here and I'm going to add slippage and commissions. We're getting in and out every day. We want to take slippage and commissions into account. Let's make that actually $25 for a round trip and $5 commission for a round trip. The account size is set at $100,000. We are actually going to change the max rules for entry to 2. So what this means is we are going to have 2 rules. The first rule is the one that's already existing, which is trade every day of the week. That's rule 1. The second rule, we don't know. That's what we're going to have Build Alpha data mine for. And we're going to exit on one single signal on the exit. What are we going to do? Well, let's actually change that hold time from 1 to 3 in steps of 1. So we'll have that one search as well. And we're going to add a stop loss, 2 ATRs. Let's have it explore all the way up to 5 ATRs in step of 1. So we can just go ahead now and have Build Alpha go ahead and generate possible combinations. Build Alpha is extremely fast with this. Here we can see our exit parameters. Before we do that, let's organize this by net profit versus drawdown. There we go. So we can see our exit parameters. We have a 5 ATR, a 5, a 3, max time of 3, 2, and 1. So we can see it's testing all the various ones. And off to the left-hand side under the name, this is where the name of the strategy is actually showing the entry rules. So we can see the entry rules, they all contain day of the week is not equal to 6, right? So what that means is take every trade that is not Saturday. So that's essentially getting in on any day. But we also then have a consecutive open. What this means is our consecutive open for the last 3 bars must be lower. So we're looking for 3 consecutive lower opens, and then we're going to go ahead and enter the trade, get out in 3 bars with a 5 ATR stop. And that's the best one, and this is what that equity curve looks like. It's a little light on trades. Overall, it's 90 trades, so I don't like that one. I want to have some more trades. The next one has 127, which is better. Let's go to this one with 300. And we can see what this one is. It's just more day of the week filters. So this is saying day of the week has to actually be Monday, or it actually has to be Friday. And so that's the only other filter added, another day of the week filter, and we get an equity curve that looks like this. That one's okay. There's a good size flat area in there. Now, what I often like to do is at least have 2 type of entry filters. Really what we only have is 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and close this. And I'm actually going to go to Build Alpha's main panel here under Additional Settings, and I'm going to change the rules to 3. Now, we're only going to be data mining really 2 signals. Our main signal we've always had in here, which is just go every day of the week, right? Which really isn't any signal at all. It's just go every day of the week. But we're going to tell it go ahead and data mine 2 other additional filters based on what we have here. Everything else is going to stay the same. Let's go ahead and have Build Alpha data mine some strategies. You can see it's building thousands of strategies per second, and it's done already. I'm going to go ahead and organize these. Let's do this by actually perfect profit correlation. So this is how straight the equity curve is. All right, we can see the first one has a price filter. The close of 2 bars ago is less than the close of 5. And then we have this other indicator, win last over the last 10 bars is less than 5. What that means is the closing price, if I remember correctly, has to be below the previous day for the last 5. This produces an equity curve that looks like this, which is really strong. We can see the exit parameter on this particular one is a max time of 2 with a stop loss of 5 ATR. That's generating $231,000 in profit, $22,000 drawdown. That's a net profit versus drawdown of 10.2. We have an average trade of just under $900 with slippage and commissions. You can see again the equity curve. So that one looks really sharp. I'm going to go ahead and save this one. And let's go take a look at that compared to our original. So here they are side by side. The one at the bottom right here is the one we just data mined. And we could see the equity curve, and we could flip between the first one. The equity curve looks like this, and then the new equity curve is much cleaner. The second one also has stops and really is a much more tradable system. All right, so here are the performance metrics. So the original go long every day generated $139,000 roughly. With our filters, $232,000. We also have significantly cut back on the drawdown. The net profit versus drawdown is an incredible number, going from 2 to 10, and we significantly reduced the trades. And I really like to see that. If we can create more money with fewer trades, that is something I am interested in. The percent profitable went up from 53 or 54-ish around to 61. And of course, we have the average profit per trade going from about 92 to 898. And also, if you remember, when we did our market study with just going long every day, that $92 per trade, that didn't include slippage and commissions. And then finally, there's our compounded annual growth rate of 15.6 and 22.2. So look how fast we did this with Build Alpha. We took a simple observation and turned it into a trading system in just minutes. Now, what else could we do? Well, there's no reason why we couldn't also data mine exits. But I like the simplicity of this particular one. It's just a day trading system in the sense that every day we're going to go flat. Maybe that's something you like or something you don't like. But I really wanted to highlight how you could take a simple observation such as the upward bias on the S&P market, do this in Build Alpha, and within just minutes, you can start building dozens of viable systems that may work for you and your portfolio. If you want to learn how to use Build Alpha and get your own copy, be sure to check the link below in the description. I have a 20-day offer going on right now that you will find very interesting. Before we close out, I want to highlight this one strategy, and I want to show you some other things that you can look at. We can actually go over here after I selected our strategy, and we can go to one of these other testing facilities. All right, what we're looking at is a robustness test, and I wanted to show you, you can take a look at the seasonality in more detail. Since we're talking about days of the week, we can look at even and odd days. So the blue line here is if it was just taken on even days. It makes some money, it's not horrible, but the bulk of the money, interestingly, happens on odd days. So maybe you want to take advantage of that and code that into your system as well. Another thing to take a look at is day of the week. Now here we could see day of the week, Monday through Friday, and they're all kind of profitable. The purple one, Tuesday, is the most profitable, but I would say that all of these look pretty good. Week number, we can see that all the different weeks, week 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are looking pretty good, except, interestingly, week number 3 consistently underperforms. So that's another option. And then, of course, we can take a look at month. Everything looks pretty good here, except for this light pink one, which is February. And we can go by quarters. All of those look good. And, of course, we can go by year. Interesting to note that all of these seem to be showing something profitable for every year so far in our test. So you can see how deep you can go with Build Alpha. We were taking a look at the different days of the week with our seasonality as well as the week number, the odd even days. Super easy to do. All right, wanted to keep this one short. Again, be sure to check out the link in the description for more information about Build Alpha, including how you can get training, free training for 20 days.